Hi, this is Mr. West, and today we're doing a Kuta worksheet tutorial on adding and subtracting integers. So we're going to start with the top part, which is sum, and then it moves on to difference. I'm going to show you what the particulars are of each case, whether it's sum or difference. So we're going to start here, and I'm going to note that we have a plus 7 right there, and then I'm going to highlight this red color, a negative. So one thing I want students to start moving away from is thinking about adding and subtracting and just think of combining. So here we have numbers with two different signs. We have a negative and a positive. And there's a couple different ways we can go about this. So number one is we can think of a number line. I think that's useful for a lot of students. If I can draw a number line here. So we have a number line and we have 0. And we can start here at negative 12. So I can count them out if I need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I can start here at negative 12 because that's my first number listed. Okay, so this is my first number. I'm going to start at negative 12. And then I'm going to move in the direction of the second number. So the second number in this case is plus 7. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And once I get there, I see that I land on negative 5. So that is where after my movement of plus 7, plus in this direction, minus in this direction, then I land on negative 5. Okay, that's one way to think about it. My favorite way to think about it, though, is thinking about having a negative team and a positive team. So I need to count how many units are on my positive team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on my negative team, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you can see I have a lot more negatives than I do positives. So what I'm going to do here is I am simply going to cancel out each negative with a positive and see what's left over. So if I cancel at a 1-to-1 ratio, so those balance out, I can keep doing that until I have no more of one of the sides. And I see that I can get through 7 of both of them. Okay. Now, why can I do that? Well, essentially, I have a minus 1 and a plus 1. Or if I wanted to rearrange this, it would be 1 minus 1, and that's equal to 0. So that's why I can do that. It's essentially canceling each other out. It's coming up with a 0 sum. So what's left over? I have 5 negatives, which is equal to negative 5. So my answer here is going to be negative 5 because I have more of the negative side than the positive side, and I have 5 more of them. Let's do another example. So over here, I have 2 negatives this time. So I have a negative 10 and a negative 7. Now you're probably like, whoa, you can't write it like that. That's a minus. That's minusing a positive. It's the same thing. So if I have a minus 10, I'm not going to consider that a positive 7 because then what would I do with this minus sign that's just floating in the middle? Do I just put it in front? What do I do with it? So I have to put it with a number. And so I call this a negative 10 and negative 7. So if I wanted to, I can make, for the negative side, 10 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And also another 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many do I have in total? Well, I have 17 negative dots, so my answer is going to be negative 17. Same thing with this positive 8 plus 7 for number 4. A positive 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In total, I have 15 positives. 15 is my answer. It's only when there's different signs that it gets a little bit confusing. Now, it might be confusing for some when you have 2 negative signs, but the 2 positive signs is straightforward. But when it gets to have different signs, that's when it gets confusing for most. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What I can do is I can cancel out 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what is left? I have 6 positives left. So my answer is going to be positive 6. Okay, now that's a lot of work. Who would want to draw that many dots and do that every time? Not me. So instead, it's kind of useful to think of the rules. Okay, so let's take number 6 as an example. So I could draw 45 dots, but that would take forever. So instead, I'm going to say to myself, okay, which one is the bigger, the negative or the positive? Clearly, the negative is bigger, and I'm going to have more negatives at the end. how many more negative dots am I going to have? Well, to find that answer, I need to find the difference. So 45 minus 9, okay, and what I'm going to get is 36. So I'm going to have a negative 36. There's going to be 36 more negatives than this positive 9 right here, and that's going to be my answer. That's how you do that. So if they have different signs, you're really going to subtract them to find the difference, but you're going to keep the sign of the larger number. In this case, it was the negative 45 was the bigger. Okay, let's apply that to another case. How about number 8? Here we have another negative and a positive. Clearly the negative's bigger, so we're going to have a negative answer. And the difference between these two, how many more negatives are there? There's 20 more negatives, and that is going to be my answer. You would get the same result if you had, finally it snapped into place, if you had a number line and you started at negative 30 and then you bounced up 10, you would get to negative 20. You would get the same thing. So there's so many different ways to approach this, but again, you need to find the one that's most useful for you. I'm moving on to difference now. So difference causes people a lot of trouble. And the first thing you got to realize, let's start with number 12, is that minus sign is the same thing as a negative. So if I have minus 1, minus 10, a lot of students struggle with the fact that they're like, oh, that is a positive 10. You can't do that because you got this floating minus sign. And it just can't be like, oh, well, it means minus. Okay, but what does minus mean? It means it's moving in the negative direction. Therefore, it's a negative 10. So we just have here the same situation we had above, which is a minus 1, minus 10. They're both negative. They're both going to be moving in the same direction. So we have the rule here, just like we do with adding like 8 plus 7. You're just going to total up the number of negative dots. In this case, it's 1 and 10, 11. If it's the same sign, you're going to add the two numbers together. But what about this one? This one is a little confusing. And the reason why is because it has two minus signs next to each other. This situation calls for a rewrite. You do not want it expressed this way because a minus, the opposite of a negative. Think of it this way. A lot of students call that takeaway when they're in elementary school. Okay, we're going to take away. What are we going to take away? Well, we're going to take away that negative. Okay, so if we take away a negative, what does that mean? It means that we are going to have a positive. If you take away a negative, it becomes a positive. So really, we need to rewrite this, okay, every time you see that to become 2 plus 2. That's going to be 4. And I know I have it in the negative color, so let me just change this to the green color. Okay, so if anytime you have that 2 minus signs next to each other, it's so important that you rewrite it, even if it looks like this, into a positive. I often will tell students just to do this, like connect them, and then draw that line so it's like a big plus sign. Be careful not to do this, where you have 2 minus a negative 2, and then you just like make that one a plus. That is completely different. Do not do that. That's not following the rule, okay? If you take away a negative, it becomes a positive. This one's straightforward because you have a positive 8 and a minus 7. And again, what you're doing here is you're simply looking here at the same thing. You have a positive, you have a negative number right here, and you have a positive number right here, and you're still applying your rules of positives and negatives. This one, anytime you have those two minuses, you got to rewrite first. So let me rewrite it. Change this to a plus. So I have minus 8 plus 6. I got my negative side here. That's the bigger side. Okay, so I know it's going to be negative when I'm done. And then how much more negative is it? Well, 8 minus 6 is 2. The difference is 2. So it's going to be a negative 2 for that one. I'm going to look for, here we go. Here's a good one. Here we have minus 41, a negative 41. That's how you need to start thinking about it. And a positive 18. Okay, so I know it's going to be negative. How much bigger is it? Well, if you're like, can't do this in your head, you're like, okay, what's the difference between these two numbers? How many more negative dots are there? Well, I'm going to do some subtraction here, and I get 323. So I get negative 23 more negatives. So a negative 23 is my answer. All right, let's do like maybe one more of these ones. Okay, so I have this case. I'm going to make this into a positive. Anytime you see that, make it a positive and rewrite it. Don't just, I see this so much where you just make the mistake of adding a negative 40, and that's not true. Now we see that's clearly going to be positive because 40 is way bigger than the minus 1, and it's 39 bigger. Let me change this to the green, and that's my answer. The final section of this worksheet is just doing some evaluating here. So you're just going to go through this, and it's just mixed. So let's go to one with maybe 3 numbers. With 3 numbers, let's finish with number 29, keep this short. With 3 numbers, you're going to change this to a positive. Rewrite it first, 2 plus 9 minus 8. You're just going to apply your same rules, but you're going to do it 2 at a time, okay? You might get like, oh man, there's too many symbols. Well, separate them. We have a 2, we have a positive 9, and we have a minus 8. Do these first 2 first. 2 plus 9, that's 11. Now we have minus 8. That should be straightforward. We should be comfortable with that. Positive 3. Same with the rest of, well, this one. Here's another 3. Rewrite it first, make it a plus. Now we just have 10 plus 3 plus 8. Way more simple. So we have 13 plus 8, 21. So that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I have tons of other videos on positive, negatives, integers, all that kind of stuff. So make sure to check those videos out if you need more help. And I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.